Unverified clip of the Chandigarh stalking case surfaces, shows two speeding cars on an empty road. Cars allegedly belong to Varnika and Neta's son Vikas Barala. Curiously, police also claim to have retrieved footage from one camera that had apparently gone missing earlier.
वरिनका कुंड के मामले में नियमानुसार कार्रवाई चल रही है। वरिनका कुंड को न्याय दिलाने के लिए विकास और आशीष पर जो भी नियमानुसार कार्रवाई बनती है वो कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
Subhash Barala, the father of the stalker Vikas Barala, says Varnika is like my daughter and should get justice. Maintains, let the law take its own course. PDB State Secretary Kamar Hussein's high-handedness on display. MLA, along with 3 of his personal security officers, booked for thrashing a local resident in Jammu. After Bengaluru's metro stations, the Kannada Development Authority now issues diktat to bank employees, gives 6 months to non-Kannadigas to learn Kannada or leave their jobs. Editor of the News Minute, Dhanya Rajendran, trolled over her comment on Tamil star Vijay's movie. A harassed Dhanya reaches the police station to lodge a complaint against these online trolls.
रिक्शे में सेफ नहीं है, बस में सेफ नहीं है, स्कूल में सेफ नहीं है, छोटी बच्ची सेफ नहीं है, तो हम कहाँ सेफ रहेंगे? इसका न्याय चाहिए हमको। बोलते हैं स्कूल के बाहर की हमारी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी नहीं है, वैन की रिस्पांसिबिलिटी नहीं है, जो स्कूल के अंदर हुआ वो किसकी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है?
A 3-year-old student allegedly sexually assaulted at a top school in Mumbai. Mumbai police arrest the accused, who was sent to police custody till August 14. Congress demands Maharashtra Housing Minister Prakash Mehta and Shiv Sena leader Subhash Desai be sacked for their alleged role in a mega land scam in Mumbai. Good evening, you're watching The Big Story with me, Avni Raja. Dhanya Rajendran, journalist and editor-in-chief of web portal The News Minute, was trolled online and slammed for being sexist. This after she criticized Shahrukh Khan's latest film Jab Harry Met Sejal by calling it worse than Tamil superstar Vijay's film Sura. Now after this, the actor Vijay's fans began calling her names and even dug up her old tweets to claim that she has always been critical of the actor. Rajendran initially tried to explain that the attack was out of context, but as over 1,000 trolls escalated their argument, she was forced to delete the tweet.
Much before the interval, I tweeted saying, the only other movie I've walked out of is Vijay Sura, which released around 7 years ago. But the Shahrukh Khan movie was so bad that I could not even sit till the interval. So it was around 10:40 I tweeted. I forgot about the tweet and I take my phone again after 1 hour. I see there are so many abuses. So I deleted the tweet, but it did not stop. I did Friday night, through the night they were abusing me. On Saturday they were abusing me. The point is everything, most of it was sexual in nature. And when things were almost becoming calm on Sunday, suddenly at 5:40 I get a warning message from this Twitter handle called Ketevin Memes saying that wait for 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. they start a hashtag, which is an abusive hashtag on Twitter. And in the next, I think 12 to 13 hours, there were around 32,000 tweets using that hashtag.
That was, you just heard Dhanya Rajendran explain what really happened. It was, in fact, a comment that was made in passing, and one perhaps would have never expected the kind of backlash it received. She saw the movie Jab Harry Met Sejal and criticized the movie on Twitter, comparing it to actor Vijay's movie Sura. And after that, within an hour, she received a whole lot of tweets essentially trolling her, criticizing her, calling her a sexist. And trolls also said that she always targeted Vijay, and Dhanya was then forced to delete the tweet. We also understand that she has gone ahead and lodged a police complaint against 25 to 26 of the worst abuses and tweets that were hurled at her post this entire incident, and is hoping for action on that. Those are the details that we have at this point as far as this entire incident goes. Dhanya Rajendran, the editor of news portal or the News Minute was criticized, targeted and trolled. Of course, not the first person to have faced this kind of trolling. We've seen several celebrities, several women being the target, being victims to this kind of trolling. Let's in fact listen into what she had to say again.
Much before the interval, I tweeted saying the only other movie I've walked out of is Vijay Sura, which released around 7 years ago. But the Shahrukh Khan movie was so bad that I could not even sit till the interval. So it was around 10:40 I tweeted. I forgot about the tweet and I take my phone again after 1 hour. I see there are so many abuses. So I deleted the tweet, but it did not stop at it. Friday night, through the night, they were abusing me. On Saturday, they were abusing me. The point is everything, most of it was sexual in nature. And when things were almost becoming calm on Sunday, suddenly at 5:40, I get a warning message from this Twitter handle called Criticising Memes saying that wait for 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m, they start a hashtag, which is an abusive hashtag. Much before the interval, I tweeted saying the only other movie I've walked out of is Vijay Sura, which released around 7 years ago. But the Shahrukh Khan movie was so bad that I could not even sit till the interval. So it was around 10:40 I tweeted. I forgot about the tweet and I take my phone again after 1 hour. I see there are so many abuses. So I deleted the tweet, but it did not stop at it. Friday night, through the night, they were abusing me. On Saturday, they were abusing me. The point is everything, most of it was sexual in nature. And when things were almost becoming calm on Sunday, suddenly at 5:40, I get a warning message from this Twitter handle called Criticising Memes saying that wait for 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m, they start a hashtag, which is an abusive hashtag on Twitter. And in the next, I think, 12 to 13 hours, there were around 32,000 tweets using that hashtag.
That was Dhanya Rajendran essentially went through this entire phase of being bullied online, being abused online for a total of 3 days. And the scary part is, as she was saying, that it wasn't just something that picked up momentum. It was seemed to be an entirely organized thing that happened. And within a matter of days, she saw as many as 32,000 tweets that came her way. And she also had to ask Twitter India to step in, which they did, and blacklisted the hashtag. But the question, of course, remains that what happens to people who don't have access to Twitter India, and whether social media, in fact, should be responsible for this kind of online bullying, because as far as laws are concerned with respect to online intimidation, there isn't too much in India at this point. Citizens do not have adequate legal mechanisms to deal with this kind of online bullying and cyber crime. Of course, the legal framework, a lot of experts say that legal framework is something that needs to be put in place in India to deal with this kind of an issue. But of course, the question also remains that the actor Vijay has also chosen to stay silent through all of this, not coming out in condemning the entire trolling that the journalist went through. Dhanya Rajendran essentially was criticized on Twitter. She was trolled for giving her opinion on a film, Jab Harry Met Sejal, and comparing it to Vijay's Sura, which was, in fact, incidentally, the movie Sura released in 2010. So that's 7 years ago. And even then, the Vijay's fans took offense to that. They criticized Dhanya Rajendran, called her sexist, and also said that she's always been targeting Vijay over the years, which of course is not true. And Dhanya, of course, was then forced to delete the tweet. It went on for days, 3 days, and now Dhanya Rajendran has filed a police complaint and hopes that action will be taken. All right, moving on. The plot thickens in the Mumbai housing scam. Opposition is now demanding that the Maharashtra Housing Minister Prakash Mehta and Industries Minister Subhash Desai be sacked and a judicial probe be instituted for their alleged role in a mega land scam in Mumbai. Congress leader Prithviraj Chavan accused Mehta of giving almost 1 lakh square feet of land in the MP Mills compound in Tardev in Mumbai in violation of the rules to a builder who allegedly benefited by 500 to 800 crore rupees.
Please. Sir,
Would you be suspended, sir?
That's right. Today also a ruckus of sort was created here in the Parliament and Houses where both the opposition parties they demanded the resignation of both the cabinet ministers Subhash Desai as well as Prakash Mehta over corruption charges. In fact, what we also understand is that the opposition also, the MLAs, they walked out of the assembly over the corruption charges and clearly pointed out, saying that unless and until there is no proper inquiry which will take place against both the cabinet ministers, the House got adjourned for the day. And in fact, what we also understand here, we talk about Subhash Desai's 50,000 crore rupees MIDC land scam. This is what the opposition has levied allegations against the cabinet minister, categorically saying that he denotified the land without following the Supreme Court's order and without any legal procedures. So at the moment the House is adjourned for the day and the opposition parties have demanded a strict probe against both the cabinet ministers. This is Shasha for Mirror Now.
Disha Shah also exclusively spoke to Maharashtra Housing Minister Prakash Mehta, who denied all the allegations against him. Listen in.
आज भी सर ऑपोजिशन ने काफ़ी डिमांड किया है रेजिग्नेशन के लिए आपका एंड सुभाष देसाई एंड आपके जो 3 स्कैम सामने आए हैं, इसके ऊपर रिस्पॉन्स सर आप
नहीं। आज 2 बात उन्होंने रखी कि एक मेरा बेटा टेनेंटेड बिल्डिंग में टेनेंट है और दूसरा मैं जिस बिल्डिंग में रहता था वो फ्लैट मेरे मिसिस का है और वहाँ पे मेरा भाई रहता है किशोर मेहता। तो वो कहते हैं कि किशोरी मेहता का नाम ही किशोर मेहता कर दिया, वैसा नहीं है। मैंने परसों सभागृह में भी बोला, मैं आज फिर बोल रहा हूँ। और जो वेस्ट में हमारी जगह है वहाँ पे मेरा बेटा जो है वो लीगल टेनेंट है। वो हमने धर्म में जो साधु होते हैं उनको अर्पित करने के लिए वो जूनी जगह हमने ली थी और 150-200 स्क्वायर फीट की जगह है।
हमारे पास डॉक्यूमेंट्स है जिसमें क्लियरली बोला है कि आपके पास ऐसे 6 फ्लैट्स आपने लिए हुए वो सेम बिल्डिंग में जब आप डायरेक्टर भी थे तभी एज अ टेनेंट एंड दैट टू द सेम ऑपोजिशन हैज आल्सो पॉइंटेड आउट कैटेगोरिकली एंड दे आर सेइंग दे अगेन दे हैव डिमांडेड कि आपको रिजाइन करना चाहिए। ये आप एंड द सीएम हैज आल्सो इनिशिएटेड प्रोब इनटू दिस मैटर। आपको इसके बारे में सर क्या बोलना है?
एक तो एक ही फ्लैट भी नहीं, एक चाली में एक रूम, वो टेनेंसी एक है, बाकी 5-6 कोई नहीं है। नंबर 1, विरोधी पक्ष नाते वो राजीनामा मांगे, लेकिन मेरी पार्टी, हमारे सीएम हमारे नियम के ऊपर चलते हैं, वो कोई कांग्रेस के आधार पर नहीं चलते हैं।
All right, let's go back to the earlier story that we were talking about. Dhanya Rajendran, journalist and editor-in-chief of the web portal News Minute, was trolled and slammed for being sexist after she criticized Shahrukh Khan's latest film Jab Harry Met Sejal and called it worse than Tamil superstar Vijay's film Sura. Actor Vijay's fans then began calling her names, dug up her old tweets to claim that she has always been critical of the actor. Rajendran initially tried to explain that the attack was out of context, but over 1,000 trolls escalated their argument and she was forced to delete the tweet. To talk more about this, I'm being joined by Pawan Dugal, who's an advocate, cyber law and e-commerce law. Thank you very much, Mr. Dugal, for joining in. A comment that was essentially made in passing by a journalist, by Dhanya Rajendran, received this extent of backlash. And of course, she's not the first one. There have been several celebrities, women who've been targeted, who've been the victims of online bullying. Have you seen, do you think it's only increasing?
I think this is a trend that's massively increasing, both in terms of the quantum, also in terms of the impact. Now, this is a slightly serious exercise because it's not just an attack on an individual, it is also an attack ultimately upon the mental makeup of the concerned person. And the idea is very, very clear. You have to ultimately go ahead and put that particular person into submission by constant trolling. And most of the time, the trolls are massively encouraged by the fact that there is not a single law which can actually either tackle them or deal with them. In fact, trolling is not an offense under the Indian law. In fact, the Information Technology Act 2000 is thoroughly inadequate because it's silent on the issue of trolling. So people tend to get massively emboldened and they believe that whatever they're doing is absolutely fine and has got the stamp of approval of the law. And I think that's where the law needs to come in to make it far more stringent. You cannot really engage into any behavior like it's a wild, wild west. Internet, though a lot of people believe that they are anonymous, the fact is that identity can actually be identified, but it's lack of action on the part of the service providers that further complicates the entire scenario.
Right. Mr. Dugal, I want to talk more about the entire law in this entire case. But just before that, you know, the fact in this case, Dhanya Rajendran did say that she was warned beforehand and the whole thing seemed to have been a sort of an organized attack. And that is what's more frightening.
And that's what is more frightening, because if it's organized and if it's right now against such a journalist, tomorrow it can be against any Tom, Dick and Harry, which the bigger problem is that there is going to be huge problem. So somewhere down the line, you know, this kind of a message needs to be going across that you cannot engage in this exercise, which has the ability of prejudicially impacting the minds and even the secure status in the minds of the target person.
So do you think this entire online trolling, online bullying is increasing because specifically here we don't have those kind of laws in place?
Yes, we don't have laws in place, and that's why it emboldens and encourages all these trolls to continue to doing their illegal activities. And the fact is that even service providers like Twitter have actually acknowledged that they haven't done so much for preventing or stopping trolling as they should be doing. The Information Technology Act is silent. India does not recognize trolling as a crime. And today, if somebody is trolling you, try going to the service provider. They will just come back to you saying, give me a court order. And in India, getting a court order can be a very, very tall exercise, can take a lot of time.
Right.
So clearly, we have to provide effective redress mechanisms to the victims of trolling.
Right. So in this particular case, Dhanya Rajendran did go and file a police complaint against the 25, 26 Twitter handles or trolls that were most abusive. What can one really expect when you go and file a complaint? What can you really expect?
Assuming that you're filing a complaint, the best that you can expect is that the police may register the case. They will put it under some innocuous sections under the Indian Penal Code, because there are no direct sections to cover this exercise.
Right.
But more significantly, as a person who's a victim of trolling, I want the trolling to stop. I want the people to be who are targeting me to be brought to justice. And that's an expectation that often gets belied.
Right. Right. And also in this case, Twitter India did step in. She did say that Twitter India stepped in, blacklisted the particular hashtag that was organized and that was going viral. But do you think that they did enough? And what more should, in this case, Twitter India have done?
I think Twitter India needs to do far more, primarily in terms of restoring the confidence of the user. Otherwise, merely just blacklisting is not sufficient.
Right.
I think you need to do far more effective steps to convince the people that you are going to be effective in your fight against trolling.
So both from a law perspective, if you can take us through what ideally you would like to see, what really needs to be done for this kind of cyberbullying, online trolling to sort of be checked.
I think the law needs to be definitely strengthened. We need to come up with specific provisions to make it. The IT Act needs to be amended. Service providers need to be made far more sensitized to their responsibilities.
And if we compare with, on a global scale, how are these issues being dealt with respect to online bullying and trolling, etc.?
Well, globally, bullying is being recognized as a major crime because it has a massive impact upon the minds, the psyche, and the psychology of the concerned victim. It's one area. All
right. I think we've lost Pawan Dugal. We will try and reconnect with him. But essentially what he was saying is that there is no legal framework in India at this point in time. And that is something that's extremely important to check this kind of online bullying and trolling that takes place. And the fact that there's no legal framework is one of the main reasons why this is only increasing and perhaps will continue to increase and victimize people across the board if the kind of provisions don't come in place. On a global level, he did say that trolling is recognized as a serious crime and there are provisions to check it, and that at this point, which is not there in India, essentially saying that steps need to be taken for online bullying to be checked. That's as far as the entire incident with Dhanya Rajendran is concerned, where she was bullied and trolled online simply for a passing comment where she compared Shahrukh Khan's latest film with a 2010 film of actor Vijay is called Sura, and post that she saw an organized attack on her, personally attacking her, abusing her, being trolled completely online. She saw 32,000 tweets over a period of 3 days and had to eventually delete her tweet, of course, almost immediately, but also was forced to call in to ask Twitter India to step in and blacklist the hashtag that was trending, which Twitter India did. But as Pawan Dugal was saying, that is not enough, and intermediaries, social media and intermediaries similar to Twitter India need to do much more to... All right, we've got Mr. Dugal back, joining us back on the phone line. Mr. Dugal, we lost you there. I didn't catch the last part you were talking about with respect to how online trolling is dealt with globally.
Well, online trolling is an important focus area for lawmakers and legislators across the world. That's why you find that trolling is normally dealt with by a strong hand in the US. It's being dealt with seriously in UK and also in Europe. But the problem is that most of the time, the trollers often tend to have a wonderful argument that what they're actually doing is part of free speech, and that's protected under the US Constitution. And I think that's one area that we require far more efficacious and effective adjudication. No amount of time can your free speech be tantamounting to mentally annoying or harassing or targeting a particular person. And there has to be limits drawn. In India, the position is well established. Your fundamental right to freedom of speech and...
All right, I think we've lost Pawan Dugal once again. But essentially what he was saying was that online trolling is taken very seriously across the world and in several countries, and that's something that needs to happen in India as well. This is, of course, Dhanya Rajendran isn't the first person and will perhaps not be the last person to be faced with this kind of victimization in the online world on social media, where people have can hide behind their handles and their social media identities to say and hurl abuses at people and victimize people. And in this case, the entire thing was completely an organized attack, and she was even warned beforehand that wait and for a specific time and see what happens when this entire thing was done by fans of actor Vijay. And all right, Mr. Dugal, back with us. I also wanted to get your thoughts as far as the liability of intermediaries, service providers, etc. is concerned in this whole thing.
See, I'm very, very clear. Intermediaries cannot be just mute spectators. They have to play a positive, cogent, effective role to stop trolling. And I think the moment they're notified of any trolling exercise, they must come down with a strong hand and not just block the account, but instantaneously reveal its identity and details to the law enforcement agencies so that appropriate action can take place. Also, they must be quick in ensuring that they are able to preserve the relevant incriminating electronic evidence in the manner that the criminal law is requiring. And that's one area that I would want the service providers to act. Unfortunately, in India, the Supreme Court in the case of Shreya Singhal versus Union of India has actually given a direction saying that service providers, you don't need to do anything till such time you get a court order or you get notified by police. And I think that's most of the service providers are hiding behind that particular judgment to say we will not do anything. I think service providers have to be sensitized to the need of understanding that the responsibility they have towards society and for ensuring the protection and preservation of women per se.
Right. Mr. Dugal, do you think something like a helpline needs to be set up, something that can, something like that would help at least be a starting point as far as checking this kind of thing is concerned?
I distinctly believe a helpline will massively help in getting the people more effective remedies. Because that helpline will at least ensure and tell people where they have to go. It should be one-stop shop. And you instantaneously go there and you should get the remedy. Rather than, going helter-skelter and being at the mercy of the police and its whims and fancies.
Right. So in this case, Mr. Dugal, the fact that she has filed a police complaint, I mean, even if the police do register it, what can they really do? What's in their power to do anything about this?
Well, they're only going to register the case under some provisions of the Indian Penal Code. They'll ask for details from the service provider. If the service provider gives details, they'll proceed forward. But we've seen in majority of cases, there has not been no effective movement forward. And all of these cases tend to end on a dead end.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Dugal, for getting us all those details and telling us your thoughts on this entire issue. All right, that's a wrap on the big story. For more news and updates, stay tuned to Mirror Now.